ask.
How'd they die?
Means those smiles.
Old and peacefully. Their wife outlived them, but not by too long. They had the typical funeral that was expected when they passed away, but then they actually had one final secret request to their family. They wanted to be cremated. Back then, it was basically unheard of, especially for someone of their stature. But they really wanted it to be done so that they could have their ashes scattered. That way, the wind could pick them up, and they could keep traveling forever.
So then... It sounds like they were happy.
Oh yeah. They told their kids that they had no regrets, because they'd live as full and rewarding a life as they could.
I'm afraid that if I try to say too much, I'll start to cry, so I just nod instead while I find my voice.
I'm glad to know that.
Of course, of course. It's only right that you know, considering how many foxes showed up in their work.
I think Miniso can see that I'm having a tough time holding it together, as her voice takes on a more sympathetic tone.
Was there anything else you wanted to know?
I don't think so. You told me everything I wanted to ask. I only found out their name a couple months ago. Until then, I just thought of them as my person in my head. So, really, I've learned a lot more than I could have hoped for.
Aww. Well, I'm happy to help. Your friend has my contact info, so you can message me anytime if you think of anything else. I guess, if you think about it, you and I are kind of like family, right? Since it sounds like they raised you just as much as they raised their kids. Like my whatever.
Really?
She laughs.
Sure, why not? The more the merrier, right? I think that's how they would have seen it too.
Thank you! I really appreciate it.
Aww. Family. I may have a girlfriend, but family is something new to me. I've never called us sisters, but just barely. It makes my heart warm.
No problem. I'm sure we'll talk again, so I won't say goodbye. Instead, how about see you later?
I'd like that. Although, there's just one thing.
What's that?
I explain my magic, and now everyone forgets me after a day. Nodding sympathetically, Minso agrees to join my list of people who check in on me every day. I'm glad she's so understanding, but it's just another reminder that I need to find a better, more permanent solution for people forgetting me. The second her call ends, I let out the sob I was holding back. I thought I was done crying over Zhongyan, but apparently not. Except this time it's the good kind of cry. After all my search, and even after their death, I finally got the answer to my question. My heart wanted to know. They cared about me too. I tried to imagine what their home must have been like, their wife and their kids. I'm sure they were all smiles. Still, it's difficult for me to imagine how they looked. Instead, I can picture them, traveling, just like when we met, going from place to place freely, wherever the wind took them, just like me, really. Someday I'd like to return to some of those places that I've been before and see them properly, instead of just blindly searching for one person and ignoring everything else. I'd like to visit them with some of the same wonder that Zhongyan felt. More than anything, I wish I could tell them about what I've experienced and learned in this path they sent me down. Even though I can't, there's one thing that I can say for sure. They would have been proud of me. A few minutes later, I'm still trying to pull myself together when the dog comes up to me and paws at my leg insistently. I can't help but smile. Whatever I'm going for doesn't matter to him at all. He just wants to eat or go outside, of course. My life and tears don't really make a difference to him one way or another. And really, that helps me keep me grounded. I'm glad to have some closure when it comes to Zhongyan, and to know that they were just the kind of person I imagined them to be. While their kindness and memories will still never stop being special to me, I finally feel like I can say they were in the past. Time passed quicker than I could have ever imagined, but it still passed. I moved on, and now I need to too. After wiping my eyes and blowing my nose, I stand up. and the dog spins in excited circles as I reach for the door. He runs right for the kitchen, stopping right outside the cabinet where I stored his food. His nose quivers as he huffs like a pig as he waits for me to catch up.
Didn't take you long to get used to this, did it?
He barks at me, just a single short yap, but I can imagine him telling me to hurry up.
Alright. Give me a second.
Grab a clean bowl from the cupboard and scoop him out some dinner. As the kibble clatters into the dish, he excitedly prances around, getting his snout into the bowl before it's even on the floor. His tail wags as he chows down, inhaling half his meal without even chewing. I reach towards him, but he growls at me with a mouthful of dog food.
Chill, I'm not taking it. I'd pour my own bowl if I wanted some. Besides, I don't think I could stand the taste anymore.
Oh yeah, she ate dog food at the start of the story, didn't she? Still, I keep my distance, just so I don't spook him. Finally, after he's done, he leaves the kitchen and heads right back and up towards my room. I've gotten comfortable here much faster than I did. Wonder if it feels like home yet. After taking yesterday off, I sat down at the library desk with the dog for the first time. He does his usual pacing and sniffing since it's the first time he's really explored this area. I keep an eye on him while I start on the day's task, but he just flops on the floor near my feet, and dozes. Eventually, the first person who needs help comes to the desk, carrying a couple books with them.
Hey there, I'd like to... Oh my god!
The sound of a new voice gets the puppy to stand up, and the lady across from me melts when she sees him.
He's adorable. Can I pet him? Sure.
It's not really up to me. If he doesn't want to be pet, he'll just walk away. The next person to show up does more or less the same thing, and the person after them too. After the day gets later, the library gets busier. At least half the people who came in asked to pet the dog. I'm pretty sure some of the help requests I get are just excuses to come see him. He handles it all pretty well though, yeah, even leaving my side to go explore and visit with folks himself. Who are you? Is that Silver? Holy shit! A little bit later after lunchtime, the front door opens slowly. I look up from the form I'm working on to see the last person I'd expect. Oh, she looks so weird. I feel like her, I don't know what you call them, like the extra clothes.
Silver!
She isn't wearing her mask, so I get a clear view of her face as she narrows her eyes at the name, but approaches me all the same.
Miho.
Oh, she looks adorable. I haven't seen Silver since Halloween, after she gave my scroll back and disappeared into the night. More than once, I thought about going to Mount Victoria to look for her, but I haven't. I felt like I should give her some space after last time. She stops at the desk, standing across from me, surrounded by books and other guests, plus being in the broad daylight, she looks a bit out of place. Sharp bark from next to me startles her, and she blinks in surprise as the dog runs around the desk to stand at her feet and yap at her directly.
A friend of yours?
Something like that. I found him at the park, and I've been taking care of him for a couple days.
He's a dog in the true sense of the word, then.
As far as I know, yeah, you finally got it right.
Her lips curl into a smile and not a sneer. Although she doesn't try to pet him, she looks down at the dog with some amusement. He stopped barking and instead sniffs her furiously, looking back at her and me like he's trying to figure something out.
He seems happy.
You can read his aura?
No? I don't need to, though.
Deciding she's either boring or not a threat, the dog comes back to my side and lies down again, gnawing quietly on his chew toy. Silver looks back at me, but then her eyes narrow again.
Your bead.
Oh, yeah.
I take off my necklace and hold it so she can see the cracks starting to form.
It started doing this a couple days ago.
Keeping her distance, she inspects it warily. In the palm of my hand where the bead itself sits, I can feel a faint pulse like a heartbeat, but it doesn't sync up to my own.
So not much longer, then.
Right.
It was a little awkward to acknowledge, like I'm beating her in a race I don't mean to participate in, but there's not any point in denying it either.
I'm kinda scared of what's gonna happen next, to tell you the truth.
Scared? Why?
Change, I guess.
Chiono? Yeah, let's go with that. Chiono, Sky Fox. Just thinking the word summoned visions of blue skies and rolling forests in my mind. The pulses in my palm quicken.
Hey, I have a question. What do you think would happen if I broke it?
Broke what?
This.
I hold my bead closer and she takes an instinctive step backwards.
If I just crushed it or got rid of it instead of swallowing it. If that's even possible.
The spindly breaks that cover the bead make it look like it could fall apart any second. Like even if a light wind could shatter it. I can only imagine what Silver must be thinking. She's probably shocked that I'm even asking, but she keeps any scorn that she's feeling off her face, and finally she shrugs.
I know not, nor why you would even consider such a thing. Though I have a guess. The magic within our fox being is as much a part of us as our breath and blood. Perhaps there is no life without it. Or perhaps we'd be no different than beasts.
You mean you think I turned back into a fox?
Maybe. Maybe not. I couldn't say. I've never heard of any of her sisters ever trying.
A lump forms in my throat that I force back down.
I never thought of that. It makes sense though, huh? Since it was the bead that made me what I am.
She shoves a finger at my face, hand hovering over my necklace.
Shut up.
Huh?
I only said it was possible. I doubt it would happen. Either way, how dare you? Your bead is but a means to an end. It may have given you a chance, but it was you who took it. Every step you've taken has been your own. It made you nothing but capable.
Silver holds her arm out, putting her shining bracelet into clear view.
Whoever or whatever you are now, you can never be a normal fox again, even were you to take the form of one. Still, what power your being does offer has been ever in your service. Should you choose to discard it, I fail to see why it wouldn't respect your final wish.
Up close like this, I'm able to see Silver's bracelet clearly for the first time. The light makes it difficult, but not impossible. Although my bead is plain and round, nearly identical to the non-magical ones on my necklace, hers narrow at the middle, and then widen again like an hourglass. A few colourful bands run across it, almost too narrow to see. There's a red one, a blue one, even a silver one. When I squint, I can even see a faint spring green one as well. There are others, but I can't really see what they are before Silver shoves her hand into her pocket, burying the light. I put my necklace back on.
Thanks. I feel a lot better hearing you say that.
I told you so. To think otherwise would be insulting.
In Silver's language, that's just how you say you're welcome.
Anyway, none of that is the reason I came here. I've come to keep my end of a promise. I'm leaving tomorrow.
What? So soon?
The news hits me like a punch in the gut, even though she told me she was planning a long time ago.
Soon? I've already stayed longer than I intended. There's nothing more for me to be had here.
That's not true. There's...
Nothing more to be found, I should say.
Abruptly, her voice softens. For maybe the first time ever, Silver's tone is gentle.
Your path may end here for now, but mine goes ever on. Perhaps someday it will come to a similar end, but not today, nor tomorrow. Surely you understand.
For as long as I've known her, I've hoped I could get through to Silver, to myself. I hope I could get through to Silver somehow. Help her see some of the things I was blind to myself. Especially now as we're just starting to become friends, or maybe now that we've been friends for a while. Either way, I wish she would stay. But also, just like how I've already vowed to let the dog go, if he wants to leave, I know I can't keep her here. And just like with Aspen, as much as I might want to do more, all I can do is try to support her. The rest is up to Silver.
Yeah. I understand. I'm coming to see you off, though.
Silver considered this for a second.
Fine. I'll come to you here in the morning. Early. Be ready.
I will.
Good. I've said all I came to say then. Until tomorrow.
Without another word, she turns and heads to the door, disappearing through it just like she disappears into the trees. And the evening after the library is already closed, there's a knock at the door while I'm downstairs. It sounds urgent.
Coming!
Oh, it's their name. Yeah, Gwen. I opened the door to find a worried-looking Gwen and Elijah.
Miho, is Tommy here?
Oh shit.
Nope. I haven't seen him since we talked last night. Is he missing?
Yeah, he was at the house with me and I went to pick up some dinner. When I got back, he was gone.
We hope maybe he came here to visit you.
Although I still talk to all three of them every day, it's been a while since I've seen Tommy in person. Not since the last time he and Gwen came to the library, which was a couple weeks ago.
I haven't seen him. Did something happen?
Well,
The two of them look at each other.
we finally got the divorce paperwork finalized. So now it's official.
I think he'd been hoping that maybe it wouldn't happen, but we just got everything signed, so now there's no going back.
Let me go get ready, and I'll help you look for him.
Thank you.
To be fair, they have a very clean divorce. Neither of them seem to be like bitter or anything. I let Juliet know what I'm doing, and she agrees to look after everything while I'm gone. When I hurry back outside, Gwen and Elijah are waiting for me.
I don't think he could have gone too far. I just went down the street to pick up some pizzas, and Gwen came over as soon as I told her he was missing.
It's not the first time he's gone to hide, but he's never run away from home like this before.
We look down the residential streets of Elijah and Gwen, alternating calling for Tommy. I keep my eyes peeled, not just for him, but for Derby too. None of us have any luck. Near the beach, we stop.
Maybe we should split up. I'll go check at the house again in case he went back. Gwen, maybe you can look around in town?
All right, but what about Miho?
I have an idea, actually. I'm gonna look around Mount Victoria.
Okay, we all have our phones, so we can call if one of us finds him. And then we can meet back here, all right?
Elijah and I both agree, and then we all go our separate ways. I head straight for the mountain, and then veer off into the path. I veer off the path into the woods. For a while, it seemed like Tommy was coming to terms with everything that is happening in his life. Was the shock of the divorce going through really enough to make him run away from home like this? I follow the path that Tommy and I took when we came here a while ago, till I reach what used to be my den. It's in worse shape than the last time I came here. Still, I'm not surprised to find Tommy sitting in the dirt that used to be its entrance, holding tightly onto Gerby.
Me!
Oh, the baby. There are tear stains around his eyes, and his clothes are filthy.
Hey there. Looking for bugs?
He shakes his head.
Your parents are looking for you, you know. They came to the library to see if you were there. They told me why you might have run away.
Tommy shakes his head, but more vigorously.
I wasn't running away. I was chasing Gerby.
The fabled's wing wilted in his arms.
You know how Gerby can fly, right? But look what happens now.
Cautiously, Tommy stands up and says Gerby on the ground. Immediately, Gerby starts to rise into the air like a balloon, held up towards the sky. Tommy grabs him before he can get too high and hugs him to his chest again.
Gerby's not doing that himself?
Fabled shakes his head, looking at eyes looking somewhat sad.
No, it just started happening. First he kept hitting the ceiling, then when Dad went to go get dinner, he left the door open and Gerby blew outside. And I had to run to go catch him, and we ended up coming here. I was gonna go home, but I don't know what to do.
I see tears start to sparkle in Tommy's eyes again, and he sniffles. It's good to know what he didn't leave because of the news about his parents, but the change of Kirby is a mystery.
Is it okay if we go meet up with your parents? I know they're pretty worried. And we can tell them about Kirby too.
Okay. I'm not letting go of him though.
I'll lead us back towards where I split up with Tommy's parents. As I do, I call Gwen first.
Miho? Tell me you found him.
I did. Yeah. We're headed to the beach now.
Thank God. I'll see you there soon.
She disconnects and I call Elijah next.
Hello?
Hey, I found Tommy. And we're going to the meetup spot right now.
You did? You're a lifesaver, Miho. Is he alright?
Yeah, he's fine. He was just chasing after Kirby.
Kirby? I should have figured that out.
What do you mean?
I'll tell you guys about it in person. See you in a bit.
Oh shit, is it Kirby lore? We're the first ones to reach the shore. Tommy stands with his feet in the water, still clutching Kirby against his chest. He sniffles occasionally, but doesn't cry. Footsteps from behind us signal Gwen and Elijah's arrival. Tommy and I turn around, and both his parents' eyes go wide.
Wait, is that?
Kirby?
Holy shit, the two of them are looking right at Elijah's little fabled. As Tommy realizes, the expression also changes to shock.
Can you see him?
Stunned, both of his parents nod. Kirby waves his flower arms, looking thrilled to finally be noticed.
Well, I'll be. The little guy looks just like I imagined.
Something's wrong with Kirby. If I let go of him, he starts to blow away in the wind. I don't know what happened to him.
Is that why you ran out?
Yeah, I had to catch him.
With a small smile, Elijah steps forward and pats his son on the head.
I heard something kind of interesting, actually. I asked a lot of people from work if they'd ever heard of a fable like Kirby. And it turns out one of them had. He said that when he was young, he had a friend just like Kirby. His only friend. They kept him company when his parents were fighting, or when anything else that was bad was happening. Then, once he got older and things weren't as tough anymore, he said his friend had to leave him one day in order to go to help out the next kid who needed someone. He told me that fables like Kirby stick around until they know that their friends will be okay without them. And then it's time for them to go.
Oh shit.
Sounds like maybe this is that time for Kirby.
But I don't want him to go. I want him to stay.
Tommy can't keep himself from crying anymore, although he holds on to Kirby. Big tears roll down his face. In his arms, Kirby looks up at him kindly.
Sweetie, sometimes we don't have a choice. Sometimes we have to let things go, even if it's hard. From what Dad said, it sounds like Kirby knows you're tough and that you'll be okay, right? Don't you trust Kirby?
I do, but
Tommy holds out his hand so that he can face his friend properly.
is it true? You really have to leave?
Kirby's petals sag as he nods, patting Tommy's hand. Gwen wipes Tommy's eyes for him as Tommy pulls Kirby into a hug. His tears drip down onto Kirby's leaves like rain.
There's someone else who needs you, right?
Still close to Tommy, Kirby nods again.
Okay.
Gwen and Elijah move to either side of Tommy, and he steps away, keeping a respectful distance. It doesn't really involve me after. I step away, keeping a respectful distance. It doesn't really involve me after all. Gwen kneels down in front of Tommy, smiling.
Thank you, Kirby, for being there for Tommy.
Yeah, thanks, Kirby.
Finally, it's Tommy's turn.
Thank you, Kirby, for being my friend. I'll miss you.
With a big sniffle, Tommy manages to stop crying. Kirby leans against Tommy, the top of his flower tickling Tommy's chin. Tommy giggles. Oh god damn, with the CG, fuck you. Then he opens his arms. Each of his parents take one of Tommy's hands as Kirby floats there for a second, then slowly starts to rise. With his tiny little petals, Kirby waves goodbye, eyes crinkled in a smile. The breeze shakes his leaves, but doesn't knock him off of his course. Up he goes, reaching Tommy's eye level, then Elijah's, and then floating above their heads. From behind them, I can see Tommy squeezing his parents' hands tightly.
Bye, Gerby.
After a whispered farewell, Gerby continues to drift up until he's eventually out of sight. Tommy, Gwen, and Elijah remain there, standing in the shallow water. Quietly, I sneak away, leaving the three of them on their own. I'm sure I'll hear all about it later when we have a regular call, but for now I think they have a few things that they probably want to talk about together. Hi, a little bit. I'm going to wrap up stream soon. I don't believe you've missed too much. Well, Tommy's little friend Gerby had to go. The little baby Fables that's been following him around the whole story. He had to go, and we're all very sad about it. As I make my way back to the library, I smile, glad that things worked out. It may take some time, but I know they'll be alright in the end. After all, I trust Gerby too. Fuck it, I've got some time. I'll continue the stream for now. I want to see how. We have to see Silver as she goes as well. Judging by the knocking at the window, it turns out Silver and I have a very different idea of early. I roll over in bed, not totally sure if I'm dreaming. In time to see Silver gesture at me and then leap from the tree again. A few minutes and a lot of eye rubbing later, I'm ready and outside to meet her, with the dogs staying behind me without any arguments this time. Silver is carrying a small sack with her, which I assume contains all her belongings. It's tied shut with a small rope, and she slings it over her shoulder. We don't exchange any words of greetings. Instead, she just starts walking. As frustrating as it can be half the time, sometimes I also appreciate her willingness to just end a conversation, or not even start one. I don't have to worry about being good enough conversationalist for her. It's easier to get more out of her silence than it is many others. The fact that she lets me come along on this trip, much less came to get me, says a lot. We make our way through the streets, not seeing many other pedestrians or even cars. After a handful of city buses, a couple of them roaming around empty too. Silver walks faster than either Aspen or Juliet, but I'm able to keep pace easily. It makes our journey pretty short though. The glass walls and security gates of the skyport come into view, waiting for us. It was the first place to greet me when I arrived, and now it's ready to see her off again. I wonder what Silver's thinking about right now. If she feels sad at all and is preparing to miss this place, or is she ready to leave and potentially never return? Good or bad, I don't think she'll ever be able to forget her time in Wellington. Come to a stop just a few meters away from the entrance, facing the double glass doors. A reflection stare back at us.
Call me Unbi.
Unbi?
In Korean, Un for silver, B for rain, silver rain. Though this doesn't turn to me, I can still see her face turn red in the glass.
Yes, it's the name I've settled on. What do you think?
Aww, Unbi. I hope she sees me grin.
I think it's perfect.
Good. Thank you. I'm not sure what words to say. I've never said goodbye before.
It's okay. I never know either. I hope you'll come back someday. Or that we'll see each other again somewhere else.
Fate brought us together once. Perhaps it'll do so again.
So you think it was fate after all, huh?
Perhaps not.
She looked down at her wrist, surely thinking about her bead even though it's hidden.
If not fate, then shall we make a promise that neither of us can keep?
You haven't broken a promise to me yet.
We'll meet someday then. Perhaps you won't even recognize me. I might be someone else entirely.
Someday. I'm sure that I'll recognize you, though. You might change, but you'll still be you, no matter what.
Even if I'm Unbi now.
You've been Unbi the whole time.
Like always, I can tell she's about to leave. Before she can, there's something I have to ask. I may not get another chance.
At first, you didn't want me to call you Silver. With your magic, what does a silver aura mean?
Her eyes meet in the glass. Finally, she closes hers with a tiny smile.
Shame. Goodbye, Miho.
Goodbye, MB.
It takes her just a couple steps to reach the door. The slide opens silently, dissolving her reflections. MB doesn't look back once as she strolls through, letting them shut behind her once again. I'm left looking at myself, and only myself. Finally, I turn around and start to make my way back home. The last library guest of the day turns out to be my favourite one. Aspen enters just after closing time, with a small, wrapped package in her hand.
Aspen! I didn't know you were coming.
I drop what I'm doing to go greet her at the door. The dog does too, as she swoops down to pet him.
That's because I wanted it to be a surprise. Also because I wasn't sure I'd be able to get off work in time. But we managed.
Ooh, a surprise?
She takes the box she's holding. Its contents read out generically.
Right. I have a present, but I'm afraid it's not for you.
For Juliet?
Aspen smells in response. She takes my hand, and I let her lead me towards the kitchen. The dog follows behind us. Juliet's already there.
Ah, Aspen. Good evening.
Hello, hello.
She sets the box on the table and then takes a seat with a sigh, just like she was showing up for breakfast.
This is the first time I've been able to sit down in hours.
Thank you for joining us. I'm sure you must be exhausted.
It's fine. This is important after all.
I'm totally confused by now.
Wait, Juliet knew you were coming? I thought your present was for her.
Nope. I just said it wasn't for you. Although you'll still need to open it because it's for him.
She gestures to the puppy, who's on the ground chewing his own foot. Aspen slides the box across the table towards me, and I lift it up. It isn't very heavy. Both Aspen and Juliet watch me eagerly.
Here goes.
I slice a hole in the wrapping and then rip it all the way in one go. Beneath it is a box with brightly coloured letters. I try to send them out slowly.
Deluxe printer ink cartridges.
Aspen, who's been leaning forward in anticipation, deflates a little.
Not quite. That was the only box I could find. Open it up too.
I use one of my nails to cut the tape on the box and pop it open. Inside there's a small collar and a leash. I lift them out gently.
It might be a little big for him now, but I thought he'd grow into it soon. Without having him with me, I just had to guess what the right size was.
I look from Aspen to Juliet to the dog, then back to Juliet.
Does this mean...
Indeed. They're gifts for the newest member of our household.
Aww.
I've searched and I can't find anyone looking for a lost dog like him. Nor has anyone reached out to me about it either. As he's already house-trained, he clearly lived in a house at one point. But it seems that was a long time ago. I don't believe he'll be going back. And besides, he seems happy to be here. He's already found himself a home with you.
The dog himself gets up and comes to sniff the accessories in my hand.
While I'm sure I know the answer already, I feel I should ask all the same. Would you like to keep him?
I look down at the animal beside me. If someone had tried to put a collar on me, if someone had tried to keep me, I would have done everything in my power to avoid it. Kicked, bit, ran, whatever. There's no way I'd have allowed someone to control me like that. But he's not me. Already the dog is looking healthier than he when I first found him. He's swelled out a bit and his ribs don't poke out as much. He's even better behaved than I would have been too. Juliet even said he must have lived in a house before. I've seen that he doesn't always know how to take care of himself either. If I hadn't taken him from the park that day, it could have been a matter of days before he'd gotten hurt, like he'd almost gotten hit by a car. I grew up in the wilds, always looking after myself, but he needs a little help. When I look back up at my friends, their faces are slightly concerned. They probably expect me to answer yes right away.
I want to keep him. But what if he doesn't want to stay? He's been comfy here so far, but what if that changes?
Why not ask him?
He doesn't know any words like Percy and Byron. I just talk to him anyway.
Those two are very well spoken, I'll have you know. But that's not what I meant. Don't you remember back on
Her face goes a little red.
that day I asked you out? You were telling me how animals don't have to communicate with words. Could you maybe ask him as a fox?
I hadn't thought of that.
I haven't transformed in a while. I haven't had any reason to. Aspen's right though. Maybe there are things you can say that way. Set an elation collar on the table, and take a couple steps away from the dog and change forms. More than ever before, I feel the magic coursing out of my beads and into my body like blood. Sensations of my limbs shortening, my face changing and fur growing out. Stands out more than usual. They aren't uncomfortable, but I'm used to barely noticing it at all. When my transformation is complete, the dog begins to growl, his hackles raised and tail stiff as he backs away slowly. He's clearly afraid, but the nuances of what he's trying to say are hard for me to pick out, because I'm so out of practice. It's like when I try to speak Korean after a long time. Danger, danger, fear, missing, where? I get the impression that he wants to know what happened to me, that he knows, and that disappeared suddenly. He's probably never seen a fox before, but he instantly identifies me as a threat. That's your transform. Yeah, basically. That's why it's the gay fox game, because Miho's a little fox girl. Above us, Julia and Aspen watch anxiously. My tail brushes from side to side, and I keep my ears and body language friendly, try and impress upon him that I'm not dangerous, and that the creature he's looking at is his person. Danger, doubt, danger, fear, doubt. Instead of growling or barking or any other sounds I'd make to talk to other foxes, it's more like I have to will my thoughts across to him. I try to convey that he can trust me, that he knows me still. The girl softened, but he keeps his distance and fur raised as he sniffs the air. Doubt, doubt, trust, doubt, danger. Just a couple inches away, I stop and lay down on the ground, showing that I trust him in return, and know that he's not a threat to me. Doubt, doubt, trust, trust, trust. Finally he approaches me and his nose goes still. We look at each other's eyes and then he gives me a gentle kiss on the snout. Trust. I nuzzle against him, showing him that his faith is well placed. As I do, I try to convey other feelings to him in the same way as him. Home, I tell him, stay. I ask, home, stay, safe. I imagine him settling down here like I have, until everything is familiar, going to sleep well fed and safe, and waking up well rested. Maybe he had that before. If so, I don't know how anyone could have just abandoned him and left him to fend for himself. I don't know how could have been so cruel. If there's one thing I can promise, is that I'd never let that happen, even if I couldn't take care of him myself anymore. Or just abandon him. I would just leave him alone. His tail thwacks against the wall as he wags it. Now that he's figured out who I am, he doesn't seem like he has to think about it too hard. Home, 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 home. I turn from back into my other form. This time he doesn't seem bothered at all. Picking the leash and collar back up, I finally smile at Aspen and Juliet.
He's gonna stay.
Aspen helps me put the collar onto the dog, then we head back out into the yard with him. Home, 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 home. The cheap tense. Exactly, it's great.
I'm glad it fits all right. He doesn't seem to mind too much either.
Yeah, that was pretty easy. Maybe he's used to it.
Or maybe he knew you were doing something good for him.
Aspen and I sit down on the steps while the dog runs around. He finds a ball that he left out earlier and brings it over to me to throw. I toss it, but not too far, and he hurries off to get it.
Have you thought about what you're going to name him?
No, not really. I guess he needs one though, huh?
It's better than just calling him the dog all the time.
Right. Well, if I was gonna be consistent, then I should probably call him Og or Uppy.
Aspen laughs.
Perfect. I know who to ask if I'm ever struggling to name a character someday.
Oh yeah, that reminds me. Before she left today, Silver told me she'd picked a name for herself too. She chose Umbi. It means silver rain in Korean.
That's gorgeous. I like that she kept Silver as part of it. I suppose that means you helped name her too.
You're right. I wonder if she thought about it that way. I'll bet she'd change it on the spot if I ever asked her. I wish you could have talked to her more. I wish I could have too.
I'd have liked to know her better as well.
For her story?
That's part of it. But it's not the only reason. From what you've told me about her, she seems like a good person deep down, who hasn't had the opportunity to express that much. She seems like someone who could have come to be an important part of our lives. Not to say that she isn't already important to you.
Like him.
Not too far away, the dog rolls around in the grass, kicking his feet in the air. My dog.
Yes, exactly. You said it yourself about Unbi. The two of you are like family. And now, this fellow is part of the family too.
I pat my leg and the dog instantly sits up and walks over to us, greeting each of us with a lick on the hand. I think about what Juliet said a few minutes ago, when she was telling me that he could stay. Suddenly it comes to me.
Happy.
Hmm?
His name is Happy.
Happy looks up at me, his tongue lolling out of the side of his face, and a smile. Aspen giggles.
Do you like that name?
I ask him the question, knowing that I won't get an answer. Still, it just feels polite to ask. Even though I chose to do it as a human, not a fox.
I'm sure he does. A saying that I appreciate is that names are a gift that someone gives you. And if it doesn't fit, you can exchange it for one that does. In this case, I think it suits him perfectly.
Watching the dog close his eyes in comfort as he keeps getting attention, I'm glad that Aspen agrees.
Now that you mention it, I've done a lot of name exchanging too.
You only started going by Miho here in Welly, right?
Yeah. I'm surprised you remember that.
She taps her forehead.
I'm good at remembering important things, and Miho things are important.
I lean against her, resting my head on Aspen's shoulder.
I think I like being Miho. All the good things in my life started happening after I picked that name.
I like you being Miho too.
The two of us sit for a while more, playing with Happy until he gets too tired to keep chasing the ball. Taking that as a sign that we should call it a night, all three of us head inside together.
And here you are.
With a flourish, Aspen slides 2 plates onto the table between Juliet and me. There's fresh cut fruits and warm potatoes, and a sandwich made of bacon and cheese. I hardly ever have meat anymore, so it's a rare treat.
Whoa! This looks really good!
I'm glad I haven't lost my touch. I don't do this kind of table service very often, you know.
I know! We must be your favorite customers or something.
Maybe, but don't tell the rest of them.
Today is Aspen's last day at the Bell House, so she invited Juliet and I for breakfast for a change. Happy comes along too, of course, and his leash is tied tightly to my chair. Juliet shifts her parasol a little bit to match the rising sun. She sips her tea and smells warmly.
There's a reason this is our favorite cafe to visit.
Soon to be second favorite, I hope.
Aspen leans against the railing, looking up at the sky. The sun really highlights the bags underneath her eyes and all the small things that probably only I notice. such as how her apron is tied more sloppily than she usually likes, or how her hair is done up roughly. Still, even this close to the finish line, she looks a lot better than she ever did when working on her book, happy and more content instead of looking like she's going to fall over at any moment. There's no one who deserves it more. She catches me looking at her and pretends to glare.
Your sandwich is getting cold, Miho. I worked hard on that, you know.
Sorry.
I lift it up and take a big bite. Just like the strawberry croissant, it's messy but delicious. Don't they make anything easy to eat that doesn't need to come with a stack of napkins? Still managed to finish it out in a hurry.
That was so good. I didn't even know you had them on the menu. Or I'd have ordered one before.
It's not on the menu. It's just something I put together myself. I had to mark out a lot of different items to make it. But if you think so highly of it, then maybe I'll think about adding it to my store.
You should. I'll eat one every day.
Every day is an awfully long time.
It was that good.
I saved a little bite for Happy, who's currently protecting us from anyone who passes by. He doesn't bark or growl, but he keeps pace with them, walking as far as his leash will let him before he goes back to the start. Before going back to the start. He never tries to go too far though.
Happy!
He tilts his head and then comes rushing, and I hold out the treat on the palm of my hand, being as careful not to bite me as he can. He pushes it away with his tongue and munches, well, happily.
Perhaps you should consider a dog-sized version on the menu too.
That would be the most adorable thing my team ever hated me for. I should make sure to keep some dog biscuits though. I'll have to write that down.
From one of the pockets on her apron, Aspen retrieves something I haven't seen in a while. A small notebook and a pen. She starts to write something down and then phrases.
Oh, Juliet, I just remembered.
Setting the book on the table, Aspen hurries into the cafe. Juliet and I both watch her go. Even Juliet seems a little surprised. But 10 seconds later, the door flies open and Aspen is back, carrying a different piece of paper.
Regina approved my idea to put a reading corner in the new store. I was wondering if you would let me borrow a few books to stock it. Maybe it could even be an extension of the library.
She holds up the paper, showing us a sketch of what it'll look like. Several wooden shelves line one wall. On the other side is a tall bookshelf that separates the reading spot from the counter in the kitchen.
It hasn't been set up yet, but they'll be installing it tomorrow. So on opening day, all that will be left to do is fill the shelves.
Juliet claps with delight.
I love that idea. It would be my pleasure to share our collections.
Aspen beams and I can't help but smile too, for both of them. I know that in a sense this is another dream come true for Aspen.
Why don't you come by tomorrow and pick out a few, and we can bring them to you at the opening?
That sounds great. I already have a list somewhere. I started daydreaming a little bit when I first came up with the idea.
I sit back and listen to the two of them chat about books for a while. It's nostalgic. All the names and titles go over my head, as unknown to me as they were months ago. This time though, I don't mind. I don't feel left out. I wait for the conversation to reach a lull before clearing my throat. It's something that I want to talk about too. Something I've only become more sure of since yesterday.
Hey, speaking of new jobs and stuff, I've been thinking about maybe trying something new, instead of working at the library. If Juliet doesn't mind.
Of course not. Please, follow your heart, and I'll always support you. Is there something in particular you want to try?
Yeah. It's something I just thought of a couple days ago, but that felt right as soon as I did.
On the ground beside me, Happy hasn't left since I gave him that bite of sandwich, even though he hasn't gotten anything else since then either.
It was something this guy made me realize I want to do too. I want to try to help out at the nature preserve.
Aw, hell yeah.
Yesterday, Aspen said that Happy kind of reminded her of Unbi. That's Silver's new name, by the way. It's the first one she picked for herself. Anyway, not just them, but also that burn. The one I found in the woods that we weren't able to save. I think about it a lot. I want to try helping others like that. Other birds and dogs and whatever they have there. Like how someone helped me before too. Lots of someones, I mean.
Oh, Miho, that's wonderful. How perfect for you. I'd be glad to give you a recommendation to Amaya. I believe they're always looking for volunteers. After a while, you could even apply to work there, like Amaya does. But listen to me getting ahead of myself. I'm already so excited for you.
Thanks.
Aspen looks a lot more concerned.
I agree. That does sound like something that would be just right. But what about your magic? With the library, it's not a big deal since you live with Juliet. You couldn't see all your co-workers every day, though.
Yeah. I've thought about that. I think I have an idea, but I'm not too sure about it yet.
Really? What were you thinking?
I don't want to say right now. I'm still thinking about it. I'll make up my mind soon, though.
I can tell Aspen wants to know more, but she forces herself to stiffly nod all the same.
All right. You can tell us when you're ready.
Thank you. It won't be long, promise.
It's not that I don't want to tell her, it's just that I don't want to get her hopes up. I'm kind of afraid to get my own hopes up. I take a breath, feeling my bead rise and fall off my chest. Maybe I'm just afraid in general. Still, I swallow that fear, pushing it to the back of my mind. I can brood and ponder later. Right now I just want to focus on what I've got, enjoying this meal in the moment. In Juliet's typical fashion, terrible reliable fashion, she managed to set up a call between me and Amaya that evening. It's at least this time, unlike with Mensu, I don't have a whole day to fret about it beforehand. Instead, it's only 10 or 15 minutes between when she tells me that she's going to reach out and when she comes back into my room to offer me the phone. It's only voice, not video, which makes it a lot less stressful. Still, I have to calm my nerves a bit before I am actually able to answer.
Hello?
Something I've been working on is how loud to talk when I'm using the phone. I also find myself yelling, since I can't really hear myself. But I've been trying to fix that for Aspen's sake. Still, I'm self-conscious about it as I press the phone to my ear.
Hi there, Miho, right? I'm Amaya at the Preserve. Nice to meet you.
Thanks! Nice to meet you too.
If all goes well, then this should be the last time I ever have to introduce myself to someone the second time.
Julia tells me you're interested in helping out around here and that you have a pretty extensive history with animals. Is that right?
Yeah? You could say that.
Awesome. I'll be honest, we could really use a hand right now. Or 2 or 4 if you got 'em. As far as I'm concerned, a friend of Juliet's is a friend of mine. There are still a few questions I gotta ask you though, both as a formality and just to get to know you better. No pressure. These aren't the kinds of questions you have to study for. Is that okay?
Yep.
Has saying no pressure ever actually made someone feel less pressure?
Great. First up, why do you want to help out here? Be as big or as specific as you want.
Because I want to help animals. I don't know if Juliet told you, but I used to be a fox.
No kidding. Bushy tail and everything?
9 of them.
Incredible. You'll fit right in. Anyway, sorry, go on.
Right. Back when I was a fox, someone saved me. And that's how I ended up turning into a person. Then once I got here to Welly, Julia helped me out a lot too. I like people a lot more than I used to now, but I still know animals pretty well. Better than most humans, I bet.
I love that. Okay, next question. What kind of work is it that you want to do? A lot of people, they sign up to help out here thinking it's going to be all clean and tidy like a hospital. It isn't. Animals are messy and dangerous, and you can't get mad at them when they screw up. Believe me, it's useless. It's a lot of dirty work.
It's a lot of being careful and still sometimes getting hurt. What I'm saying is, it's not easy. Is that something you're okay with?
Yeah, I am. When I said how I got helped out, back when I was a fox, I got my leg caught in a hunter's trap. I couldn't move, and it hurt more than anything I've ever felt. But there was this person who found me, who had already been nice to me before. Still, if I hadn't been about to die, I probably would have tried to get away from them anyway. They took care of me and helped my leg get better. They fed me and came to visit me every day, until the day they left my forest. So, I know what it's like to be that way, scared and hurt, and not sure who you can trust.
God damn. I'm so sorry. Us humans can be terrible, can't we?
Sometimes, but that's only some humans, not all of them. That's something it took me a long time to learn. There are good humans, though, like you and my girlfriend Aspen.
Oh, you're dating Aspen? I've heard Juliet talk about her for years.
Yeah, we're dating.
It makes my heart feel warm to say that.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, you've already got the job, but here we go. Last question, alright?
It's actually a lot easier than I expected. I didn't have to try hard to think of the answers like I normally do. Instead, I feel confident in what I'm saying, in a way that I don't know if I've ever felt before.
Okay, here it is. Miho, do you believe in fate?
What?
I asked her that last time.
You remember that?
So that was you. That was gonna be my secret final question. I remembered having that conversation with someone, but for the life of me, I couldn't think of who. I thought someone must have tampered with my mind with magic or something. And to tell you the truth, I still can't picture what you look like.
Oh, you're exactly right, actually. I have this, I guess you could call it power, where everyone I meet forgets about me in a day if I don't see them again. That's what happened to you.
She's quiet for a moment, probably thinking about what to say. In that silence, I make up my mind.
But I think I've figured out a way to get rid of it. I'm going to try it tomorrow. So hopefully it won't be a problem. If you can remember me after this time tomorrow, then that'll mean that worked.
Still, there's silence. Did the call disconnect? Finally, she clears her throat.
Alright then, Miho.
Her voice sounds rough, like she suddenly caught a cold. My hair stands on end. Wait, is she crying?
I hope I'll give you a call tomorrow then. But first, you have to answer my other question. It's not the usual third question we ask, but I figure I don't need to ask about a time you met an animal in need.
Oh, right.
Once again, this question is easy to answer, but it's for a different reason.
I don't know. But I don't think I care. Because either way, I'm still living my life. If there's magic or something else, then that's not really up to me, right? So, I like what you said last time. Either way, I just want to be...
Fulfilled?
Yeah, like Aspen and Juliet.
Well, if there's one thing we can offer you here, it's that. Also a small salary. It's not gonna make you a millionaire or anything, but it should more than cover the bus fare or beer money, whichever you need more.
Really? I thought it was all volunteer stuff.
We usually start them off that way. Helps figure out which ones are serious about it and which ones are just looking for a summer job because mom said so. But I get the feeling you're gonna be a long hauler. What about you?
Now I have to pause to think about it. Working at the library is the longest I've ever stuck with something, and that's only been a few months. What Amy is talking about is a lot longer than that. After spending most of my life not thinking beyond the next 24 hours, and spending my time here, taking my daily life for granted, I had to think long term too much. Other than making sure Aspen, Happy, and Juliet are part of it, the future hasn't been that important to me. I need to start changing that though, especially after tomorrow. So maybe there's a chance to start the new year off with something else that's different from me. My New Year's resolution, Aspen calls it.
Yeah, I'd like to be.
Super awesome, great. I haven't been this excited about a new hire in a long time.
Thanks.
I'm glad we're not on a video call so you can't see me blush.
I'll have to file some paperwork to make it official, and get the okay for the expenses, all that boring stuff. I'll try to get back to you tomorrow, end of the week at the latest. Sound good?
Yep.
Good. You better get that magic thing taken care of, Miho. I'm gonna write myself a note to be sad if I forget about you.
You got it.
Good. Talk to you soon then.
See you later.
The call ends and I immediately sigh once again. Of course I can't blame her, but she makes getting rid of my magic sound so casual. In reality, that would be the biggest change in my life, maybe even more than being a Gumiho in the first place. It's a change that I need at this point in my life, though. As both Aspen and Juliet love to remind me, it was my path through life that made me who I am today. However that person isn't the same as before. The things that matter to me now meant nothing back then. So it seems logical to me that my need to transform, steal, and be forgotten has changed too. I'm grateful for everything my magic and my beat have done for me. But there's the final step from that path that I need to move past. Plus, if Inbay is right, and they're not separate things that I'll lose, they're just part of me that changed too. That feels a lot more comforting, I think. Since Happy left with Juliet, when she brought me the phone, I have a rare moment to myself. I removed my necklace and hold out my hand, something I do quite a lot these days. Even more cracks have appeared on the bead. It's broken in so many places, as it is. It's broken in as many places as it is whole. Light leaks out, shining in my palms. The bead looks like it could fall apart at any moment, fragile like a human. Something would happen if I broke it, I'm sure of that. Something will happen when I break it. Tomorrow, I've already given myself that deadline by telling Amaya. It's short, but it's less time to dread it and change my mind. Enough time to tell Aspen and Juliet, though. I want them to be there when I do it. I don't know what will happen. If I were to let myself think of all the possibilities, I'm sure I would end up talking myself out of it. Instead, I chose to believe what Inbai said. What makes the most sense to me. That it would never make me something I don't want to be. It would never make me something I don't want to be. I'll choose my own destiny instead, my own fate, whatever it may be. After months of practicing, the day of the play finally arrives. A performance starts in the evening, but I have to be there a couple hours early. Aspen promises that she'll be in the audience to support both me and Lena. Juliet will be taking care of Happy, so she won't be able to make it. Even though I explained again and again that I'll just be standing there when I'm on stage, they're just as excited as they were when I first announced I'd be participating. I'm glad they'd be there though. The last hour or so before showtime is a busy one, with lots of cast running around doing last-minute preparations or run-throughs. I just try to stay out of the way and help out if asked. We made the change from practicing in the park to practicing on a real stage pretty easily, but by now the whole production is pretty smooth. I make the mistake of peeking out from the curtains before it begins, and see that almost all the chairs in the audience are filled. I even managed to spot my people, although they don't notice me. I head to a corner backstage, doing my best to stay out of everyone's way. Cyrus has been walking around, checking in with each cast and crew member in turn. He still hasn't gotten to me when Lena hurries over.
Miho! Ready to go? Nervous?
So far, so good. What about you? Shouldn't you be in your costume?
I'm gonna go get changed soon. I was just, talking with my parents.
Are they here in the audience?
Yep, front row. I think they were more excited for me to be in this play than I was.
I know exactly what you mean. I'm glad I did it though.
Yeah, me too. They said they're glad I found something I like. Although I know they still wish it was ballet. I guess me being up on stage is still good enough for them.
You're okay with that?
Yeah, I think I am. I mean, it was my decision. I probably won't be in any other plays anytime soon, though.
That's too bad. You're really good at it.
I know, but I want to keep trying new things. Maybe someday I'll go back to ballet or something, but only if I decide that I want to, not someone else.
Cyrus wraps up a conversation with a nearby cast member, then joins us in the corner.
Hey, you two. All set for your big debut, Miho?
I think I've got all my lines down.
Good. How about you, Lena?
Ready, boss!
Cool. Thanks for making this possible, both of you.
No, it's no big deal. Right, Miho?
Right.
For me, that's pretty true, but for Lena...
We should probably go get changed, but first,
Scratching his neck, Cyrus looks away for a moment. Do it, bro. Fucking do it.
Hey, Lena. Are you, busy after this?
After the play? No? Why?
Do you wanna get dinner or something?
Yes! Lena blinks a few times in rapid succession. Lena Pog, Lena Pog.
Yes! Let's do that! Okay, I'm gonna go get ready now!
Red face, face red. Lena runs off, both Cyrus and I staring after her.
The dressing room's the other way.
After a moment, Lena pauses. Lena zooms past us, going in the opposite direction.
Oops, it's this way.
She disappears into another room.
That wasn't weird, was it? From me, I mean.
I think weird is like her normal anyway. I think she's pretty glad you asked her.
I kind of had a feeling after she gave me that painting a while ago. Part of the reason I wanted her to be in this play was so we could hang out more. But it's been kind of tough.
Don't worry. I think it'll all work out fine.
Cyrus nods.
Well, I'm gonna go get dressed too. See you on stage.
See you!
Cyrus leaves and I spend my last couple of minutes alone. It's taken a while to get here, but it seems like everything's turned out alright. I got ice cream. Lena's all over the place and hard to follow sometimes, and Cyrus is like her opposite. They're both nice people though, and I hope that them getting dinner later is just the start of something between them. They better. I'm like super invested in those two kissing now. I think they'd be good for each other. Eventually it's time for me to go get ready as well. In the dressing room I put on my stiff tree costume and take my place backstage. On the other side of the curtain I can hear the low rumbling of the crowd walking. Or the crowd talking. As the light dims, the chatter does too. Looking around I see Lena all dressed up and ready to go. She gives me a thumbs up. Cyrus faces everyone with a small smile.
Showtime.
All get in position and the curtains rise. The music begins and Lena soon takes her place on center stage. Watching her perform like this is watching a whole other person. There's a certain grace to her movements and the way she talks. I admire her ability to just go out and perform when she has to, even when I know she must be all worked up emotionally. Cyrus is the same way. When he's acting, he has to talk louder to project his voice, but he doesn't seem uncomfortable doing it. The way he walks and talks is elegant like Lena. The audience laughs and gasps in all the right places, and I even hear a few sniffles during some of the sad parts. When it's finally time for me to go out, I'm surprised by just how many faces there are in the crowd. Can't let myself get distracted though, I need to do my best to. My part is pretty easy and I pull it off without a hitch. As I leave the stage for the last time, Lena Mouse, nice job to me. I smile in return. The whole 2 hours seems to fly by. When the last scene ends, I can hardly believe that it's over. One by one, they all go back out to take a bow. The applause. One by one, we all go back out to take a bow. The applause from the audience is like thunder rolling through the theater. Aww. The last ones to return are the three main characters, including Lena and Cyrus. They take their place, the applause somehow gets louder, when everyone rises out of their seats to clap. Confetti falls down from the rafters as they look around, basking in the celebration. Lena's smile is huge, while Cyrus seems a little stunned by the reaction. Lena's little crown. The three of them link hands to take a bow, and the last of us join them. And the rest of us join them one last time for a final bow all together. Throughout it, Lena and Cyrus never let go of each other. When everything is over and everyone goes backstage to clean up and congratulate each other, I say goodbye to pretty much everyone, except those two. I look around to try and find them, but can't. Finally, the sound of the door opening catches my ear, and I peek around the corner to a hallway to see Lena and Cyrus standing in the door to the outside, about to step out together. I say they've earned the right to leave early and skip out on the cleaning. As the door shuts behind them, I smile to myself. I think they're going to be just fine. Let's go! Sorry if you can hear me churn. But I want the ice cream to melt. Even though Aspen shows up for breakfast, I'm too preoccupied to do much but eat and respond on autopilot. After a predictably sleepless night, I can barely stay focused enough to chew. I'm so out of it that Aspen has to wave her hand in front of my face to get my attention.
Miho!
Yeah?
I was going to ask if you're okay, but I think I need to ask what's wrong instead.
What do you mean?
You've been chewing on an empty fork for a little bit now.
I look at the utensil in my hand.
Oops.
Aspen gently sets my brutalized fork onto the table. My plate is so full that I'm not sure if I actually had any food or not.
Is this about your secret idea from yesterday?
I nod.
You're good.
I like to think I know you pretty well. Is it something you can talk to us about yet?
Juliet also leans in to show that she's listening, although she doesn't interject. I can feel my pulse rising in response to the sudden intention. Even Happy is watching me. This is the whole reason I decided so quickly. I should just get it over with.
I'm going to smash my bean.
Both Aspen and Juliet look at me in stunned silence. I'm not surprised.
I don't know for sure, but if I do that, I think my magic will go away. The problem is, I don't know what else will happen to me. But I think I'll be okay. Unbi thinks so too.
Well, Juliet continues to look shocked. Aspen's face flips for emotions like I'm changing channels on the TV.
Smash it! Are you sure? That's awfully permanent. And what do you mean, what else? What do you mean, you think? Have you thought?
Aspen.
All Aspen has to do is look at Juliet and she cuts herself off.
I'm sorry. I'm sure you've thought about it. But that's so sudden. I'm sure you can see why I'm so shocked.
It's been on my mind for a while, and it's all I could think about last night. It's what I want to do, though. I told Amaya I would, for one thing. And I'd feel a lot better if I didn't have to worry about either of you forgetting about me.
Me too. God, me too.
Your magic is more than just being forgotten, though. That, plus your ability to transform, plus, I would imagine, your immortality.
Oh shit. Aspen gasps.
Miho!
I know. I thought about that too. And I'm okay with that. I want to feel more. I want things to mean more to me. I don't think that can happen unless I know I'm going to lose them someday. That's something both of you helped me realize.
I meet Juliet's gaze.
You too. And Cosette.
Her eyes go wide and then settle into motherly content. Closing her eyes, she nods in acknowledgement of what I said. Aspen grabs my hand, one on each of hers, holding them to her heart as she faces me.
Miho, I don't know what to say. There's so much that I don't know if I could get through it all. So, I'll just trust you. I'll trust that you know what's right for you, and I'll support you in that. Always.
Aspen has barely finished talking when there's a sudden flash of light from my necklace, causing both Aspen and Juliet to recoil in shock. Happy yelps in surprise too.
What the?
I instantly cup my hands around my bead, which contains a lot of the light, but not all of it. Aspen still has to use one arm to shield her eyes. Somehow, despite the brightness, I'm able to see through. I'm able to see through it unbothered. The bead seems to be shaking, and I don't think it's because of my hands. It's still whole, but just barely. It had its fill of whatever it was looking for. I can feel it. It's needy. The magic within it wants to burst free and escape. All three of us exchange a look, knowing that it's pointless to say anything else about the issue. Whether it's instinct or just my own inner strength, I grit my teeth and stand up.
It's time.
I walk to the front door, hoping that I'm not shaking as badly as I think I am. Aspen, Juliet, and Happy are right behind me. I don't look back until I'm out the door, standing in the sunlight. Aspen comes to my side, gripping my arm as she leans in for a kiss. Closing my eyes and focusing on the feeling of her against my side. I feel the storm in my belly calm down a little bit. Little claws dig into me as Happy stands up on his hind legs, pressing his paws into me as well. Juliet remains in the doorway, just out of reach of the sunlight, but I know she's watching anxiously too. My hands are trembling as I reach for my necklace. Aspen places her hands on mine, steadying it as I undo the clasp. For the first time since I slipped it on, carefully remove my bead and set the rest aside. It's strangely heavy in my palm. Maybe I shouldn't call it strange. It's carried a lot of memories. Still. It's small enough when I curl it around my fingers it's entirely hidden. Closing my eyes, take a deep breath, and then another, preparing myself for what I'm about to do.
Wait!
My eyes shoot back open.
Before you do, there's something I have to ask. I'd regret it forever if I don't.
What is it? You can ask me anything.
She was conflicted. I have no idea what her question could even be. Finally, she copies me, closing her eyes, take a deep breath before snapping her gaze to mine.
Can I touch your ears?
Huh?
For as long as I've known you, I've wanted to ask. But it seems so rude, so I kept putting it off. I can't put it off anymore, though.
I take a second to process what she said, and then I burst out laughing. For everything she could have said, that definitely wouldn't have been one of my guesses. She looks so guilty about asking it that it makes me laugh even harder until I've doubled over and unable to stand up straight. Tears start to stream from my eyes, taking a lot of my tension with them. I can only nod in response, unable to actually answer Aspen's question with words. After a couple seconds, she can't keep laughing either. She can't keep from laughing either, even as she approaches me. Force myself upright, at least a little bit more, and tilt my head for her. Her fingers hesitantly settle on my ears, and she scratches a few times, the same way she pets Happy. I see why he likes it so much. Aspen doesn't spend too long before moving away from me. She looks a lot more relieved too.
Okay, I've gotten that out of my system. Why don't you? Miho!
She gasps and points at my hand. I look down. Without any meaning to, I clenched my fist at some point. Familiar light shines between my grasp, turning into vapor and rising towards the sky. I uncurl my fingers, revealing a small pail of glowing dust and shards from my bead. The shards aren't sharp, in fact they aren't anything. I can't even feel them in there. Turning my hand over, I dump the debris onto the ground. A lot of the dust disappears as it falls, and so do some of the pieces. A couple of them hit the ground before vanishing. Only one piece, the largest one, lasts for any time at all. Instead of evaporating instantly, it slowly dissolves, with most of the powder being carried away by the wind. Soon all that's left is this tiny seed that looks like it came from some unknown plant. Was this part of my beef too? I never know the answer, because the wind picks it up and takes it with it too. Although it doesn't disappear into nothingness, it's gone from sight in an instant. If it was, then maybe it's on its way to someone else who needs it. Just like Zhongyan, it'll travel the world again, never quite coming to rest. I think they love to be part of the wind, laughing along with the breeze, so I'm sure they'll know where to take it. The instant the last trace of magic disappears, I can feel my body start to change. It's similar to changing into a fox, but still different. My ears shrink down, my chin retracts, but the rest of me stays the same. My hair brushes against my shoulders as no different ears take the place of my fox ones. It feels like stretching after being cramped up for a long time. Holy shit, human Miho! I don't know how to feel about this. Like always, the transformation is quick, only a few seconds from start to finish. Except it's not always anymore. There is no next time. I turn around to face Aspen and Juliet again, just as the tearful Aspen rushes into me, wrapping me in the tightest hug I've ever felt. Somehow her lips manage to find mine. My first experience as a human couldn't be any better. Happy doesn't wait long before demanding to be noticed too, so I step away from Aspen in order to kneel down and pet him. He seems to handle this change a lot better than me turning into a fox, since he doesn't growl or act any different at all. I wonder if he's even noticed that change. Finally, there's Juliet, who had tears in her own eyes. I climb the stairs. As I climb the stairs, she steps forward and pulls me into an embrace of her own.
Congratulations, Miho.
Thank you for everything.
Juliet lets go of me and then steps further back into the house and away from the sunlight. The rest of us go inside too. I feel strangely normal. Other than being a bit dizzy, I feel exactly the same as I did 5 minutes ago. Even the dizziness will probably go away after I get used to not having a tail. I'm not sure what I was expecting being human to feel like, but I thought it would be at least something like this. I thought it would at least feel like something. I don't mind being wrong about this one. I know that I'm right about the human part though. That same intuition that guided me my whole life tells me that. That's reassuring as well. I'm still me through and through. We go back to the kitchen, which also seemed absurdly normal. I feel like I should at least do something to celebrate or commemorate the occasion, but really just being able to go on with my everyday life feels like a reward itself. Like Lena leaving the Bell house, maybe it'll hit me hard later on, after the novelty has worn off, but right now, I'm just excited to keep living. After Juliet goes to bed, Aspen and I leash up Kathy and take him for a walk around town. I noticed a few differences, like not being able to smell or hear quite as well as I could before. I don't mind though, the trade-off is more than worth it. My first day as a human isn't too different from my last few as a Gumiho. And that's just fine with me. Aspen stays as late as she can, and then she finally leaves to return to her own apartment. She does it with a promise to meet up again tomorrow. That night, laying awake next to Happy, I look out my bedroom window at the city I've come to know so well. I started to take the view for granted, but I'm going to have to unlearn all of that. I really want to be grateful for what I have, since someday it'll all be gone. Puffy is the main character and I refuse to believe that it isn't. Okay. For what will be the last time for a while, Aspen shows up at the library for breakfast. It's been our whole routine ever since I came to Wellington. It's bittersweet that it'll be coming to an end. An ending is just a chance for a new beginning though.
So, tomorrow's the big day.
That's right. I don't know how I'm going to sleep tonight. I don't know if I'll have time to sleep tonight.
At least you'll have plenty of coffee to drink in the morning.
That's true. As long as no one drops the coffee maker or something. Oh, here I go again. I keep imagining 100 things that could go wrong.
I'm sure there are a million things that will go right.
Yeah, It'll be great.
Thanks. I'm sure you're both right. I just can't help being me.
That's why I know it'll go well.
Aspen moment. Happy and I hang out in the kitchen while Aspen and Juliet browse around to find books for Aspen's reading corner. When she has a few picked out, Juliet heads to bed and Aspen joins the dog and me. She picks up her purse, where she left it on the counter earlier, and sits down.
So, after your bead broke yesterday, it gave me an idea for a secret ritual of my own.
She shakes the bag, and I can hear paper crinkling inside.
Oh, like magic?
No magic, just superstition, I guess you could call it. Or symbolism, something along those lines.
Let's do it.
You don't even know what it is yet.
So? It's something you want to do, and that's enough for me.
I hope you're up for a bit of a walk then, because I'd like to go up Mount Victoria.
I'll go get Happy's leash.
On the way up to the top of the mountain, we talk about everything except why we're there. At the summit we stop, and Aspen looks ahead.
I see why you come up here so often. I'm glad the new store is closer. I could do with a few more chances to clear my head.
I'm glad you like it up here too. I know it's not a secret or anything, but it feels like my place.
I know what you mean. That used to be the library for me.
Used to?
It's special in a different way now. A wonderful way, to be sure. But not the same as when I was just a regular patron browsing the shelves. But up here, I feel calm in the same way when I sit down with a good book. Not just a good one, but a favorite. One that I know I can go back to again and again and enjoy just as much as the first time I read it.
She unslings her purse from her shoulder and reaches in. Happy gets his hopes up, probably thinking that's just where sandwiches grow, but he'll have to be disappointed this time. Instead, what Aspen takes out is a small stack of paper. First, I'm afraid it's the Fox in the Grove, which is silly because I kept that safely in my room with my scroll. On closer inspection, I recognize the fancy logo at the top.
That's from the book company, right? The one you almost signed with?
Yes. This was the contract they offered me. I held on to it to think about, and then afterwards held on to it as a reminder. I think I need to move on from it too, now. Just like you were saying about your bead. For a long time, I thought of my self-worth purely in terms of what I could make or give to the world. In other words, how good my writing was. That sure turned out to be a mistake. I always knew it was, of course. Still, once you're that far into the hole, it can be tough to dig yourself back out. I have you to thank in part for that. For helping me find my own strength that I needed. That's why I don't need this anymore. Not as a reminder or a motivator. I don't need it to tell me what I'm worth.
Yeah, let's go girl bossing. From top to bottom, Aspen rips the paper in half. Then she tucks those into a pile and rips them again, and then she rips those. She holds out her handful of shredded paper, I held out my shattered bead. Just like then, the wind eagerly picks up pieces and carries them out away out to sea. Oh, it's gorgeous. The CG artists really outdid themselves. They toss and flutter in the wind, scattering directions before they're even past the edge of the mountain. Aspen watches them go, hands still outstretched, not to bring them back, but to keep them away. In just 1 second, they're gone from sight.
I tore up the rejection letters too. The ones I'd been keeping in my box. Envelopes and all. I saved a copy of my manuscript instead. That's what I really want to look back on someday, and smile about. Not to forget the bad, but to remember the good too. I'll always associate it with these days here with you. And with the new store, and everything else. I think those will be much happier memories to keep. Don't you?
I do. I never want to forget how I feel right now either. Or any of my time here.
I don't think we will. I'm not sure how we could. And even though the future is scary at times, it scares me right now when I think of opening the store tomorrow. I'm excited.
I'm excited to face it with you and with Juliet. And with Happy, of course.
Of course.
The three of us stand quietly together, facing the horizon in the future. Aspen's right. It is intimidating, but that's exciting in its own way. If there's one lesson that I've learned, one most important thing, is that I can't wait for the future to come to me. I have to reach out and grab it for myself. Arriving at the new Bell House, it's immediately obvious that Aspen didn't need to worry about no one showing up. Julia and I are there an hour early, but we're not even the first to arrive. There's already a small line of people waiting when we get there. When we get there, a box of Aspen's requested books in tow. Some of the staff are running around outside looking stressed. Others are indoors setting up the display cases and brewing coffee. They also look pretty stressed. I recognized one or two of the employees from the other Bell House, but I don't know their names. Most of them I've never seen before. It's just the aprons that give them away. Despite the nervousness, everything seems to be running pretty smoothly. One person I do recognize is Regina, Aspen's boss. She whistles around the place looking calmer than the other workers. She's probably done this more than once. I'm no expert, but I don't see any problems anywhere. Aspen's done a great job getting everything ready to go. She's been here since before I woke up, so I haven't seen her in person yet. Although I've been messaging her the whole morning when possible. I let her know that Julia and I have arrived, but the message still sits unread. I spot another familiar face though, at the same time that she spots us. It's Lena, isn't it?
Hey, mijo!
Let's go, it's our girl! She slips out the front door and jogs over to where Happy and I are standing. Julia retreats off under the shade of the building's roof.
Hi, Lena. How's it going?
Oh, you know, pretty normal day. Hang on a sec, though. Something's different about you.
Yeah.
Did you get a haircut? Wait, no, I see it. Don't tell me they gave you an haircut too!
Nope. They went away on their own. I broke the bead that gave me my magic, and so now I'm just a regular human.
Her face goes pale.
And I thought it was bad that I dropped the coffee machine this morning!
Of course she did.
Oh, nah. I did it on purpose. I wanted this to happen.
Seriously? Why would you do that?
Because I got tired of people forgetting about me all the time. I want to be able to live a normal life, even if it's one that has an end. I'm starting a new job soon too. One that I couldn't do if nobody remembered me.
Oh, congrats! You're gonna kick life's butt, aren't ya?
It's not quite the way I'd put it, but yeah, I guess so.
Well, it's the right way. The only right way. Go ahead, ask me why that is.
Why?
Because you've gotta beat life into giving you what you want.
Here's a fake punch that comes close to hitting me in the real face.
When it thinks it's got you down, that's when you've gotta fight back even harder. Never give up. Never surrender!
It's kind of impossible not to be impressed with Lee's enthusiasm, even when it's like this.
And you can only do that when you've got something to fight for. Like Aspen, or your friends, or your dog. Wait, when did you get a dog?
This is Happy. I've had him for a few days now.
He does look happy. What's his name?
No, that is his name. Happy.
I have a feeling I'm going to have to do this a lot in the future. Still, I like the name. I guess you could say it makes me happy too. Once Lena finishes introducing herself to the dog, she finally notices the box of books on top of the wagon that we brought.
Oh, are those for Aspen? I'll take them in and let her know you're here. Although she might be busy until after she cuts the ribbon.
That's fine. Thanks for letting her know. I'll be with Juliet.
Got it.
I pass the wagon's handle to Lena, and she rolls it around to the back entrance. Happy and I go wait next to Juliet, not too far from the line to get in. She adjusts her parasol to give us a bit of extra shade too. Oh yeah, the voice acting fucked up. What do you think? I'm quite impressed with what you've done here. It's its own distinct feeling that is still clearly, while still clearly being the Bell House.
Yeah, I love it. I can tell Aspen put her heart into it.
On one side of the cafe is a park, and the other is a row of shops that are just as cute as the Bell House. None of them have such a long line now. There are only a couple of minutes left till the grand opening, and everyone in the crowd knows it. I do a quick head count. There are almost 2 dozen people standing in line, not counting Juliet and myself. There are a few others who aren't in the line either, like a reporter taking pictures and someone that must be Regina's husband. The warm, cozy scent of fresh bread and coffee are as strong here as at the other location, maybe even stronger, since we're outside and I can still smell them. I can't see in through the frosted glass window. I'd imagine they're all doing last minute scramble, taking care of final touch ups before it's time. A blue ribbon is draped across the front doors. Those suddenly open inwards, leaving the ribbon still hanging, and Aspen appears, dressed in uniform. She looks around, spotting me and Juliet, and gives us a small wave, which quickly focuses her attention on the crowd.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you all for coming. We appreciate you showing up before you're actually able to have your coffee.
A couple of people chuckle.
My whole team has worked very hard to make today's opening a success, so we're very proud to officially open our doors to everyone. Lena!
Coming!
I can hear Lena, but can't see her. I can, however, see the look of disapproval in Aspen's face as Lena runs up with a pair of scissors. Even that disappears in a flash, though, as with a big smile, Aspen cuts through the ribbon in a single snip. She steps aside, letting the line of people begin to enter. As the first customer passes through the door, a chorus of cheers come from the inside.
Welcome to the Bell House!
It takes a couple minutes, but finally Aspen emerges from the building and comes over to where we are. I reach out my arms to embrace her, but she shakes her head.
No, don't hug me, I'm gross. As soon as I get home, I'm taking 3 showers and 2 naps.
You deserve them. Everything looks amazing. You've done a great job.
Thanks. Wait until you actually go inside. Although maybe it's better to wait until tomorrow for that.
Did Juliet's voice actually just fuck up here? Or maybe they just couldn't get her. You're already quite popular. I'm not sure if tomorrow will be any slower.
That's a good problem to have if it happens. I can show you around right now if you really want, but it's going to be awfully crowded in there.
It's fine. You can show us another time. We'll be here again soon, for sure.
Okay, I think Juliet just doesn't have any lines here. Let's mess it up. I don't think I can do a very good Juliet impression. Indeed, I'm looking forward to trying out the reading corner for myself.
Yes, me too. Lena told me you brought the books. Thank you so much.
Of course, I hope they find their way into many new hands.
I'll make sure they do. I want to do some kind of discount for people who are working or reading here. I'm not sure what it'll be yet, but I want to help out students and artists, even if it's just a free cup of coffee. I'm already getting ahead of myself, though. We've been open for all of 10 minutes and I'm planning what to do next.
You make that sound like it's a bad thing. But this place only exists because you dreamed about it, right?
Well, yes. I suppose so. I need my feet on the ground right now, though. I could let my head off into the clouds when my shift is over. Which, unfortunately, is still several more hours from now. I'm going to have a few words with whoever it was that put together this schedule.
Was it you?
It absolutely was. After my naps and showers, I'll come by to visit this evening. Do you have any plans for how you want to spend your last couple days before your own new adventure, Miho?
Other than with you? Nah, not really. I think I might go for a walk. It's been a while since I just wandered around.
You've come so far since then, both literally and figuratively.
Yeah, I miss it a little bit.
Go wander then, and I'll see you at dinner?
Definitely.
Goodbye, Aspen, and good luck with the rest of the day. We'll see you tonight. With a fatal wave, Aspen disappears back into the cafe. I think I'll be returning home myself. If you're going to be out for a while, then would you like me to take Happy back with me?
Yeah, please. I think I'll be out for a bit.
I pass the leash to Juliet. Happy doesn't fight against leaving me anymore. He knows I'll come back to him. Also, to head back the way we came, the opposite direction of the bell house. One other direction leads into town, but it's the fourth and most familiar path that I follow. For a second day in a row, I find myself back atop Mount Victoria. Though I pass others going up and down the mountain, I'm alone at the summit for the moment. Just me and the breeze. Leaning against the railing, I take in the sight again. The bustling city, the swaying trees, the cerulean ocean. All over, everything, everywhere I look, it's alive. Every person, every leaf, every single creature. We're not so different after all. We're all just doing what we can to survive, to keep going, and to hopefully make tomorrow a little bit better than today. I can't count how many times I've been up here enjoying this view. I can't even begin to guess how many times I'll come here in my lifetime. And yet, that's what makes it so precious today, because someday I won't be able to come up here anymore. All I'll be able to do is think back and remember how it made me feel. So I'd better feel as much as I can while I can. Even now I can spot things that are different from yesterday. Past different people on the way up here, different boats dot the glittering horizon, different airships come and go. As much as it feels like it sometimes, as much as I used to believe it was true, nothing ever really stays the same. From the streets to the sea, even myself. Like clouds, we grow and change until someday we disappear. There's an opal absence where my necklace hangs, but it isn't the aching kind of loss that feels like something's gone when it shouldn't be. Instead, it's more like a nostalgia, missing something but knowing I can't go back to it. That the world and existence I'm thinking of doesn't even exist anymore. Maybe it never did. I've been to so much of the world without really seeing any of it. After all, there's plenty of time to fix that though. Years and years to enjoy the joy to the fullest. At the end, I hope to feel the same way Zhongyan did, surrounded by the people they love and content with the life that they lived. Maybe like them, I'll continue to exist in some way still, and the thoughts and stories of everyone that I cared about and that cared about me. For someone who's not used to being remembered, a legacy like that doesn't sound so bad. Maybe someone someday will stand up here like me, looking out of that world and seeing proof that I once lived and existed. It's okay if they don't know me or my name, that doesn't bother me. But if there's one more bird singing its song, singing its song there, wouldn't have been had I never existed, then that's enough. A sudden gust sweeps across the mountain, down through the forest, and out towards the sea. It ripples through my hair in the same way it ripples through the trees. As the leaves rustle together in the breeze, it sounds like a warm laughter. Little fox, where's your home? The wind whispers. Closing my eyes, I relax and surrender myself to it all.
Right here.
God damn my heart. As is customary on my channel by now, we shall be sitting through the whole credits. Just take a minute of silence to soak the story in.
As I open to another page, I wonder if I'll always stay the same, or be someone someday. As you open up another door, I'm searching keeps ticking along. So I put a bookmark in this chapter of my life. A daily pressed flower to remember you by. Getting older will mean that you're not on my mind. Together we'll be young till we die. With just a word or two, the year will run so soon. Will you remember me if I remember you? Tomorrow's just another new today. I wonder if our hearts will stay the same, or if we'll ever change now. All that we own are our memories. So I'll close and I'll live my life with my heart on my sleeve. Still, on and on, the clock on the wall keeps ticking along. So I put a bookmark in this chapter of my life. A daily pressed flower to remember you by. And getting older will mean that you're not on my mind. Together we'll be young till we die. Maybe I'll forget a bit of you, maybe you'll forget me too. But I'll treasure every second, and I know that you will too.
Even with the shuttle ride and walk back, I get home before Aspen does. Happy's waiting for me at the door like he does every day, to lick my hand and then flop on the floor for a belly rub as soon as I come in. The cats crowd around to say hello to, or they keep their distance from Happy as much as they can. 5 years and they still haven't warmed up to him too much. They don't mind me like they used to though. I start a pot of coffee brewing when Aspen gets back and changes out of my I start a pot of coffee brewing for when Aspen gets back and change out of my work clothes. It's my turn to cook dinner tonight, so I grab some ingredients from the fridge and leave them on the counter to finish thawing. Then I go to our bedroom and wash up. Working at the preserve has gotten easier, but it never gets boring. I always come home covered in dirt and more, but with the satisfaction of knowing that I did something meaningful. This week I've been tending to a nest of tacky chicks, who's lost their mother. Baby birds are kind of gross. I've learned the hard way that pretty much all baby animals are. But seeing the improvements they've made over the past few days has been all the reward I need. From the kitchen I can hear Happy's collar sliding around across the tails as he stands up, a sure sign that Aspen is home. I go out to greet her just as the front door opens.
Hey, you.
Hello, love.
I wait for the animals to all have their turn saying hello before I walk over to Aspen, putting my arms around her.
How was your day?
Oh, they both look adorable. Oh, I love them so much.
Oh, the usual. I'm almost done reading this manuscript that came in a few weeks ago. It's a little rough around the edges, but I'd like to see more. I'm at the Bell House tomorrow, so I'll finish it up on break or when I get back. What about you?
The usual. Fed some birds, chased some lizards, trimmed some plants. I'm gonna start on dinner next. Coffee should be ready soon too.
Thank you. You're the best.
I try.
Like always, I sat on my toes to meet Aspen for a welcome home kiss. We've greeted each other this way every day for years now. Just like working at the preserve, I never get tired of it. At first, taking a job as an editor instead of making it as an offer seemed like a downgrade to Aspen, but over time she came to enjoy it a lot. The way she talked about seeing someone's face light up when she tell them their manuscript has been accepted, or when their book finally releases, reminds me of how I feel when we let a rescued animal back into the wild. There's always a bit of worry. What if we did something wrong? What if they're not ready yet? But there's always a whole lot of excitement. And of course she still has the Bell House to keep her stable, even if it's only a couple shifts every now and then. Our home, our pets, our jobs, our lives. As much as I love the excitement, I love the comfortable familiarity just as much, if not more. In the end, I've settled into life as a regular human pretty quickly. Both of us still have goals and dreams, things we'd like to do and see, but we're working toward them one step at a time, and enjoying the journey along the way. I don't spend time wondering or worrying about just how many days or years I have left, because I'm too busy living every single one of them. Emotions. Definitely wasn't like as hard hitting as his last two, but it was nice. I don't know, I guess it's just kind of weird after the last two games to have a relatively comfortable and nice ending where they just live together happily. I'll take it though, it's adorable. Well, that was Please Be Happy. I'm definitely going to be thinking about this game for probably days. I always can't stop thinking about one of these visual novels after I finish them, or like days on end afterwards. I'll definitely gonna go back to the Juliet ending at some point, and I'll do the Wild ending in my free time just to see what it's like. But I think I'll take a break from this game for at least a stream or two, since I've been doing nothing but blazing through the story. But yeah, I may stream tomorrow, or some point next week. If not, I'll see you all at Sunday, same time. I don't know what's after Please Be Happy, but I'll cross that road when I get there. Comfy life, comfy love. Yeah. It is the comfort ending. It's pretty adorable, honestly. Hold on. Apparently only 17.5% of people have got this achievement. But 25% of people made it to that particular chapter 5. Anyway, I've got a lot to think about. The entire game's gonna be running through my head for a while. But I cannot formulate the words. I've been streaming way longer than I usually do. But thanks for showing up. I'll be back with this game eventually. But for now, bye!